Yeah, Venables, Dhamma friends. Today also we are going to start the question and answer session. We will invite Venerable to present the written questions to start the session, please.
When meditating, I often feel a strong pressure between my eyes, around my forehead. The more mindful I get, the stronger it is. Am I just straining my eyes, or is there something behind this? I feel like someone putting their thumb on my middle forehead.
This kind of thing can happen, but if it is unbearable, you have to take care. If it is bearable, no problem. So when there's a pressure, so to say, in the temple, in the middle area, you can see there is no boundary. This is the particular area. We guess it is like that. Of course, there may be some kind of thing, but no boundary. So whenever such a thing happens, you are whether like it or not, you are utterly mindful. You can't do away because it is demanding kind of tension happening. So it is not on the physicality, it is on the mentality, it is the how do you call it, feelings. But after you get up, or once you given up the mindfulness, if it is still remaining, that may be attributable to some kind of a physical ailment, but otherwise something wrong in the concentration, something wrong in, would say that you are forcing, you are doing something forcibly. So if it's bearable, continue it like that, and don't try to regiment, try to drill. Just let it happen, and yeah, maybe some other reasons also. But it appear like, by reading it is, by listening, it appear like something related to the mindfulness. So if it is happening only in sitting, you have to investigate further. In order to have that investigation, you must have some kind of a bearability. If it's unbearable, you have to give more concentration, more attention to the walking meditation and the day-to-day activities, instead of focusing, give some diversification of the mindfulness. These are some of the suggestions I can make. I know it is not the solid answer. Please try and see.
I've experienced PT since it first erupted unexpectedly after my first retreat. It was very intense for the first 1 to 2 years and slowly became more refined. Now, even though my meditation has progressed, it has become very subtle and sometimes hard to access. Is this normal?
So even the mindfulness and the concentration or something like a rapture, when it's happening for the first time, it's very intensive. But when you keep on practicing, they becomes normalized. And then only mind become mature and go into the next stage. But definitely you will go through the process, but it will not be much titillating, much giving a kick. So therefore, this is the nature. More you familiarize something, that becomes balance. Suffering also the same. The PT or that kind of rapture also the same. So more you practice, that becomes normalized. So take that into your heart and continue, please.
Bante, thank you for an amazing guidance and Dhamma talks. Is it possible to go into rapture during your sermon? I personally feel you are speaking to me, and it takes me to a complete Zen,
Zen.
not Zen,
Is it really
like
trance?
a trance. What you described as rapture scared me when meditating. So I have stopped. Sit down. Yeah. So I stopped it.
So you can imagine, think about if you are listening to the Buddha directly, what kind of thing can happen? My teacher used to say, when someone is listening to one talk, at the end, he or she will be fully enlightened. So much so events happen. My teacher used to say, because you have other pleasurable and painful experiences, but you try to keep the track with. Forgive and forget about your comfort of the life or comfort of the body, keep the track. So then only the communication can take place. Otherwise it will take a lot of time. So therefore when this alignment happens, power transmission happens. That is that's called power line. It is not merely due to the speaker's merits or qualities, but how much you are attentive, how much you are prepared, how much your mindset. So that is completely free of your personality. They are natural phenomena. So these things can happen irrespective of the time, space, and the person. So therefore, the many people can say the world is deteriorating and a lot of bad things are happening. But it may be a good boiling pot or hot bed for the meditation also to arise. So when it is happening, it's one kind of a rapture. When it's sharing with other people, there's another kind of a rapture. So there are always in meditation, one thing is direct touch with the Dhamma. And the other thing is associating that kind of people. By association, there's a kind of ripples are growing because all the others are also in the same vibration. So therefore, thank you for sharing. Hope it will not be a hindrance for you. It will be a green light for you to proceed.
Bante, you mentioned that there are 5 kinds of rapture in the second jhana. Do these 5 exist in each of the 8 jhanas?
So I would like to explore into this situation. In the first jhana, you have 5 jhanic factors, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekagrata. And most effective instrumental factors are vitakka, vichara. It's applying thoughts and discursive thoughts. You keep on shooting into the object, and somehow or the other you keep all the other defilements, all the other hindrances under control because of this. But once you, so to say, go into the absorption, the formal jhanic experience, then this vitakka vichara, after 50 minutes, 55 minutes, like, not only applying to the particular object, sometimes it is offshooting can happen. Vitakka will select some kind of a secondary objects also. or some kind of a pleasurable objects or hateful objects likewise, then mind becomes somewhat not sharp enough, little dissipated and distracted. And one has to understand when you are entering into the jhana, it was very, very supportive, very, very direct, very, very instrumental. But when it's continuing towards the latter part of your session, that very thing will be misdirect kind of thing. Then you have to understand the disadvantage of vitakka vichara. Early part is very advanced. And then only with that experience, you determine after brushing your meditation to have second jhana without vitakka vichara. So this is a kind of shedding off of your old skin, and you are progressing. It is like when the Saturn V rocket is taking off from the Cape Canaveral, it has to burn off and shed down two shuttles, the lower part. We are very heavy, and that is the one really pushing 6 miles away from the gravitational force. But then it becomes a burden. Then it has to fall down. And then only the rocket will go to the orbit. And likewise, then you go to the second jhana. Second jhana is rapture is very, very, how do you call it, effective and instrumental. So that is also when you keep on practicing, keep on mastering, that rapture get some kind of a weak and blunt. And that may facilitate the vitakka vichara or some other desirable feelings and kind of thing. It can be, its aim will be disturbed. So you have to understand, in order to get rid of vitakka vichara, rapture is instrumental. But when you are dwelling upon the rapture, after a while, that itself is showing its own weaknesses. So therefore, you have to contemplate, you have to determine to have the third jhana without the rapture. It is one of your motivation. It's one of a direction. Therefore, the function and the active participation of the rapture is you are suppressed. Otherwise, you can't go to the third jhana. Third jhana is the pleasure, whereby the breathing, we call beautiful breathing. Breath itself is giving the full nourishment. No vitakka vichara, no piti. They are very childish or active kind of concomitants. But when you come to the sukha, quite a maturity. As far as the vitakka vichara and piti is available, the sukha cannot come to the surface. So therefore you have to determine, you have to decide to get rid of them, then only the sukha can happen. So this is how it happens. So that means you are not completely away from the vitakka vichara piti, but their function, their instrumental capacities will, otherwise you can't go to the third jhana. So this is the way in our day-to-day life also. If you are running a government, if you are to win the political campaign, you have to have thugs. You have mafia. You have to have all the kind of thing. Because it is such a thing face to face. And these people, the naughty people will expect, once they win the government, they will support us. Not only the money for anything. So even after the winning, they are going and asking and demanding. We are the people give the support, therefore you must give. And then it becomes a nuisance to the government. Either they are put into the prison, or we have to get rid of it. This is political arena. So likewise, at a time, it is instrumental, it is useful, but when it goes there, just like the Saturn child, you have to burn it and you have to shed it off. But if you are going to have it all the time, you can't have the next episode. And in the pole vault, more than high jump, you will be performing 2 times, 3 times, you can go higher with the help of the pole. But before the vault, you have to throw away the pole. Otherwise, it will hit the bar. You can have the pole at that time as a souvenir. This is the one that helped me to come up to the height. So therefore, I must get hold into that. No, you have to get hold into that, yes, to go to the peak. But it must be in such a way, you must have ability to throw it. So this kind of a dynamism, the commentators try to explain in a number of ways. They are very, very big examples. So they are, I got common sense. This is not meditation. You have to have that kind of a common sense. Otherwise, you will just worship your pole, even at the peak. Now hold it. You can't. Then it will hit the bar. Not. So therefore, you have to understand the utility value. Anything you are using, the once we are using the toothpicks, we prepare our toothpicks and once you throw it. Don't treat it as a souvenir or it's a kind of a value and keep it like that. So that the dynamism, you get rid of this in order to this. And that also you get it off in order to that. Likewise, this is the refining process is very important for the evolution to take place. Very important for the metamorphosis to take place. Otherwise, you will be very conservative and have that from the beginning to the end, no problem. So therefore, there is no permanent values for anything. That's the circumstantial and practical, pragmatic values or utility values. But we conservative people, most of the time, try to keep them as souvenirs. It becomes a burden. So therefore, Vitakka Vichara, and next day again you may be using Vitakka Vichara, you get into the first jhana and then second to the, and likewise, and you must know how to throw it in. We are moving to the next.
If I am understanding you correctly, you stated that one can go from primary object to thoughts if mindful awareness is present. At what point does switching from intentional primary object to unintentional secondary object become problematic?
It's problematic if you do not keep the track of the history. Because you have to explain the situation in a linear system. Whenever you start with the primary object, it is very gross. And that is what you select that primary object in order to get rid of all the hindrances. So you keep the track with the primary object. But when it is observing for a while, the primary object started to fade off. The long breath will be shorter and the gross thing will be subtle. And when that happens, that signal is weaker. So you have to exert double dose mindfulness in order to keep it face to face. If you are not prepared at that time, otherwise you see primary object is fading off. It is dwindling off. So if you are ready with that booster dose or double dose, to understand this progress, if I have to keep the primary object in view with, I have to go prepared and have to be with energy. Otherwise, taking this opportunity, thoughts may creep in, sounds may creep in, pains can come in. Because mind is now hesitating if you are not with that mindset. So you, without giving any chance, you have to understand this is the nature. Object is slowly disappearing. It is not a mistake of me. You must not get lost the chance. You must go prepare. If it is so, you can see the secondary objects are now slowly try to creep in and peep in and still keep the primary. Maybe some mistakes, no harm, but still if you know the game, if you go prepared, it is not in the first time. Number of trial and error times on you will one day master it. And then you see now primary object is there and peripheral. Lot of objects are there. So quickly you can go to the object and come back also. And you can understand still the primary object never disappears. But the prominence is disappearing. Sometimes you can see the primary object and others side by side. Sometimes you can see one upon the other. Primary object is far away and the distraction will be close. And sometimes primary object is closer, but secondary objects are there. Primary object is not a solid thing. It's like a net. Through the net, you can see others are playing. So when this is happening, you have to have a tightrope walking balance. And that is how mind become very diligent, mind become very vigilant. You have to on toes. This is what happened in the games and when you are sports and kind of thing. You may have the guides and the training and kind of, but on the spot adjustments are there. So therefore, it is very hilarious. It's very adventurous. It is against the grain. And simply put, disorganized. Simply put, no single method you can, by which you can see the practice. There is no single linear system you can say the mindfulness. It will be very big. And mind become puddled, muddled. And it's a luck by chance. You are playing it. And with that only you make it yourself. You make it your experience. It is not the book experience. It is not the teacher what you are telling. That becomes yours. That is what I call human error. That is what I observe, not in artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is scientific writing and it is no mistakes, everything is perfect. But no human. That's artificial. But this is not artificial. Today you will win the car. But tomorrow again you have to face the same. Again the same. So likewise you have to master it so that it become your way of living. Very difficult for you to share with others, but in general terms we have to say, be patient. Keep on practice whatever the failure happen. So with that kind of a mastery, your sacrification only you can have it, but no technical writing can help you. No theoretical understanding can help you. No any merit you accrue in your life can help you. There you have to be on the board. You have to do it. So it's a very good kind of a gambling, very good kind of a sports. So that is how your mobilization can happen. So therefore, we are one man army. We are in the battle. So we must be happy. Not people come and put a garland and give a certificate and give a promotion, they nonsense. They are talking something nonsense. But we know how difficult to keep the primary object in view, how difficult to keep the mindfulness sustainable or steadfast. and your skill, that skill. There's no other single method to have this much of skill, this much of merits. So it is each time you become a born again Buddhist, you become rejuvenated to play it. Next.
Sometimes I have distance with the primary object. And other times I seem to almost merge with it. And a burst of warmth floods my body. Is this okay, or do I need to keep the distance?
So in the Sila Sutta and in the Sila Sutta or Sutta Sutta, where, and that's what I remember, the Buddha says, if you have not seen 11 facets of the breath, you can't claim mastery. Buddha is prescribing, whenever you are studying one materiality, how to say, in breath and out breath, or your touch of the ground in the walking meditation, there are 11 facets. First three is related to the time dimension, past, future, and the present. And there are some 8, far and close, desirable and undesirable, gross and subtle, in and out. So rational mind think far away is bad, but the close is good, and like this essay. Or inside is good, outside is something wrong. Desirable is good, undesirable is bad. So likewise, we have prejudgmental ideas. Out of 11, we reject 6. We only select 5. So you will never master the in-breath and out-breath. You have to be aware, you have to be ready. Go prepared for all the 11 facets. That is how you reshuffle your likings and dislikings. This is correct, this is bad, kind of our
Judgments.
prejudices. Very good. Every one of us have seen these 11 facets, but we select only 5 and we reject 6. So much so you are a failure. You will never develop the glad mind. When the breath becomes far away, you making it something wrong. But the Buddha is the authority, he is telling these 11 facets. So I want to try to see that 11 facets in the quantum physics. Is there a relationship with this 11? Very difficult to find. You know 3-dimensional, you know 4-dimensional, now it's going for the 11-dimensional. But this is, the Buddha says, each and every material, each and every mentality, they have these 11 facets. So we may be the beginners, but we must understand to finish the course. We have to be ready, be prepared for all these kind of things. But when you are listening to the interview report, very easy to understand, he or she is writing with preconceived ideas, their own prejudices. So you must not disturb it, you must not hurt. But you have to tell, please, darling, be ready for all the 11. Otherwise, that children, when you are going to feed, they are happy with the sweets. They are not happy to eat the staple food. But when you become elderly, you have to have all the 6 tastes, all the ingredients in a balanced meal. Otherwise, it is leading to unhealthy situations. So likewise, good that you raise this question so that we can discuss openly. There are well-established facts in the theory, but in the practice, we can't have that kind of a choiceless awareness. I think every one of you have heard about that. Am I correct? One definition for mindfulness is, and that is what I was so happy, Ken Wilber wrote a book no boundaries. I think in that book, he first coined the term, have a choiceless awareness. Don't have preconceived choices. Our mind is so addictive. Anything when it is coming in, we attribute good or bad, correct or wrong, justifiable or unjustifiable, should it or should not it be. So then onward, you are not inside meditation. Your reptilian mind is working, not the mammalian, not the development. But we have the potential. Please, we'll try.
The idea of momentary enlightenment is somewhat controversial. Can you please describe your perspective on this and what this phrase means to you?
In Dhamma, the book of discrimination, a number of the key terms have taken and given 5 layers. Tadanga Nibbuti, Patipasaddhi, Samucheda, Pasaddhi, and Nisa. So many people think, and many philosophers, they think that momentary story is a later development, specifically in the Mahayana tradition. May or may not be, but Adinambidhamaka is accepted as a canonical book. And it says Tadanga Nibbuti. In that very moment, mind is liberated. One thought moment before and one thought moment after will be defined. So very difficult for the mind to discern the liberated thought moment amidst of other, how do you call it, defined thought moments. If you have studied chemistry, you have to learn how the soap is working. When you are washing your hand, a greasy hand with water, but the soap is doing, it is going amidst of all the dirty particles and make a shear layer in between. So dirty to dirty connection is cut off. So what the soap is doing, water cannot do it. So it is making cracks in between the flat layer of grease or flat layer of any oily thing. Make some fraction. Then water can push it off. So that is the theory we call split and root. British government. Have you heard? No. Whenever they wanted to conquer a country, they go and make a split. Fighting each other, then easily you can go and take both.
Divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. Yeah. That's what happened to Sri Lanka also. So Buddha is using it in such a way, whenever a flat layer of defilements are there, there's a one crack. It's a shear layer, but it is not completely breaking the layer, but give when it becomes frequent, more and more fractions and the shear layers, the integrity, their holding power disappears. And then you can wash it off. That's how the Tadanga Nibbuti, Patipasaddhi, Vikhepana Nibbuti, for a little 2, 3, 4 seconds, like, it happened. And that is the point where we develop jhanic experiences. And where we can have a chunk of the undefined thought moments. And Patipasaddhi, Samucheda means you just become Sotapanna and you do away with 3 fetters, 7 available still. And the Sakadagami, Anagami, 5 fetters. Arahant, the leg all the above layers. Likewise, it is happening in a piecemeal basis. So their minimum level is called Tadanga Nibhuti, it's called Kshanabhanguravada, or momentary understanding. So we are everyone, every human being already enlightened in a momentary way. But it is amidst of big, huge defilement, so very difficult to decide. So when you go to Perth, Australia, Western Australia, the gold industry is there. Many people, many scientists are from Sri Lanka, our geology department. This is every soil, they have 0.003 parts per million of gold, but it is not worth to refine. It should have a certain amount of concentration, then only you can excavate it and send it to Japan and refine and make gold a commodity. Everywhere gold is there. So how to refine? And it is that if you are boiling down all the waters in the sea, you will get 16 meters by 16 meters by 16 meters cube of gold. So you have to keep on boiling. Gold is there, but spread everywhere. Very difficult to refine. So likewise, the human being, becoming a human being, you are born with that momentary enlightenment. Even the criminals, even the people harming themselves, but how to make it substantial, how to make it a commodity out of that. That is the way the Buddha was more successful in presenting the Patipada, step by step. All the other people, all the other religion, they say you will be saved, you will be by the Savior. Only you have to be faithful and you will be in the final judgment, either in the right hand side or in the purgatory. But no, Buddha says, no, never mind. This thing can happen occasionally, but little by little you can refine the starting from this momentary enlightenment, and very rarely it is being explained in the communitarian ways, but I think it is very catalyzing, very encouraging. We each and everyone to say we have already gone the path. It is insignificant, but we have already started. That is why the Zen saying it says, wherever you may be, you are on the way back home. We are all in the journey. So that is how I put into my spiritual life.
It is hard to find a teacher that can discuss experiences. Any advice on finding a teacher?
So when I was in Burma with Pandita Vivansasayado, if you are not a good friend, you will find difficult to friends outward. If you become a good friend to yourself, you find everyone is a good friend. If you are a good teacher to yourself, you will find good teachers everywhere. Because always we expect outside. When the Joseph was time, when Jack Caulfield, they are the very first people went from America to become monks. And at that time, mostly they went to Burma, Thailand. And he went into Mahanikaya and became a monk. And he found a lot of rituals and all the kind of things that no meditation, no mindfulness. And simply he went to the Sanghanayaka and told, one day I came here have, in a sense, the enlightenment in this life. And then I am sorry, our tradition is not so. If it is so, you will go to that Achancha. Achancha is a kind of a forest monk. And he went there and he thought now Achancha is an enlightened person. And I follow him, and he is completely believing him and following him. And he was living in a faraway country. One day when he was going there, Ajahn Chah was having a cigar, smoking, and sitting on a very comfortably. Look at it, and he found, what? That my enlightened being is smoking. And then he went back and he was little discouraged. Next time when he goes there, he is having a long stick and demanding people to work. You have to this, you have to do this before that. And he like a master, taking a master like. And he look at it and say, no. No masters outside. I am discouraged, and he decided to dissolve. And packed everything and went to the Ajahn Chah itself and told Bhante, I came with so much of hope, but I'm sorry that I have to go back becoming a layperson. No problem. You can go. But he wanted to hint him, tell you are the discouraged. That is, I trusted upon you, but you are the discouraged. So Ajahn Chah was not asking any certain explanation. But he, dragging the explanation, told Bhante, you are the only hope I have. But I saw to my very eyes that you are doing that. Then Ajahn Chah told, what a nice thing has happened to you. As far as you are finding a teacher outdoor, you will never become a teacher. If you find outdoor, external teacher is wrong, you can become a teacher. So this is a golden opportunity. And he was so convinced. The way Ajahn Chah tackled it, he decided to gain practice on Ajahn Chah. Don't find good teachers outside. That's a slavery. Dhamma is about for anyone. And we have done a lot in our life. If it is happening, you have to read the Kaggavisana Sutta. In Sutta Nipata, very first. 35, I think, stanzas, all are in stanzas. Each and everyone is ending, Eko Jare Kaggavisana Kappu. Eko Jare Kaggavisana Kappu. Eko Jare Kaggavisana Kappu. You have to behave like the rhinoceros single horn. All the other animals have two horns. Finished. That is the marriage life. With a single horn, you can break through. So you have to behave like a single horn, rhinoceros. One stanza is there. Sache lavet nipakan sahayan saddin charan sadhu vihara dhamma. If at all, if you are going to have a companion or a fellow wayfarer, you can be a victim. It's very rare. And the next stanza is, I found everywhere, never I found it, therefore I again revert back to myself. This is the first sutta when Dhammika asked me to buy her. But in Theravada tradition, that is for the Pacheka Buddha's Psalms, that for the mute Buddhas, not the Samma Buddha, Pacheka Buddha. So they are not giving the proper interpretation. But it says, don't expect that. If it is available, you can just behave and be with it. Be difficult to find. That's why the Buddha says, when setting the first mission for 60, Arahant, don't two go into one path. Two must not go in. Individually you go, teach what you experience. If two people, comparison happen and he is correct, he is wrong, he is advanced, he is not, ultimate beginners are in trouble. Therefore, this question is troublesome to the beginners, but we have trod our path fairly enough. So therefore, now you have to stand up on your own legs. The Dhamma is there, and other people striving and fighting also there. It's also a blessing. And depend upon yourself. Be like a rhinoceros horn. And in that particular sutta says the ladies are very happy to have bangles. Wallet and bangles and yeah, please. Nowadays it is not so. If it's a one single bangle, anyone wearing wallet? No?
Bracelet.
Huh?
Bracelet.
Bra-
Bracelet.
bracelet? Okay, wallet, I do it's an ornament.
Yeah.
It's one single bracelet, no sounds. If two bracelets, three more, four kind of thing. Whenever you are shaking the hand, they are, even the teachers, even the friends, if it's available, well and good. But even without we can do, that's the way the teaching of the Buddha, we are moving.
Is Anapanasati a samatha or a vipassana? What is the difference between samatha and vipassana? If Anapanasati is samatha, how do you turn it into vipassana?
So the answer to the first question is, Anapanasati is the only meditation object serving to the samatha and vipassana guru. All the other, there are 40 recognized objects or kamatana. They are either vipassana or samatha, you can't know it. But Anapanasati is serving for both. That's why in the Anapanasati Sutta and Satipatthana Sutta, there are a lot of other suttas. The Buddha is giving Anapanasati as a panacea for many people. So it depends when it is going to turn into vipassana or samatha. I'll give just a clue, or I will give you a very very good tactic. Imagine when you are practicing mindfulness, first you learn the mindfulness. What are the manifestation of mindfulness, characteristics of mindfulness, proximate factors of mindfulness, and that's the way you learn. And no sooner you will understand unmindfulness. So whenever the mindfulness break the train, whenever the unmindfulness happen, naturally we regret, we feel lost. It is natural, no harm. But the teacher has to explain. No, it is not a bad thing. It is happening. Everyone is happening. So therefore, unmindfulness, main thing is not worry. It is not a personal weakness. It's a human weakness. You are a human. The point is, if you look at this unmindfulness in such a choiceless awareness, if you can trace back from the unmindfulness to mindfulness, definitely vipassana. If you're worrying, my mind is wandering, and what the hell that I was practicing 17 years and 18 years, my father also practicing, my mother also practicing, but still I'm stagnating. A lot of that kind of things are happening. But they are in the Samatha Bhavana. I say, thank you very much, please go, I am not with you. But I say, whenever this kind of unmindfulness occurs, main thing is not to worry and see how the way back, how you can trace from unmindfulness to mindfulness. Then if you are in such a situation to report such a thing, I would guess he or she is definitely in Vipassana. I would like to listen some of you, whether you got the idea, anyone wish to repeat what I am saying? Yes,
So let's say
speak loud.
if we are chanting and then the mind goes away and then the mind comes back, you know that the mind went away and the mind came back. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's the general idea. So whenever mind is wandering, unmindful, you know to happen this, you have to understand now my mind is not mindful.
Yes.
You have to understand this wandering, eccentric, daydreaming. In comparison that, you can sometimes say my mind is mindful. Now, here and now. This knowledge and the understanding my mind is daydreaming, fantasizing, also an understanding. Which one is more hilarious? Which one is more adventurous? Which one is more dramatic? Anyone?
Understanding that you are not mindful.
Knowing that you are not mindful. Because you never claim this as me. You never claim this as mine. You never claim this as my soul. But it's a mistake. And that is how you understand the vipassana is working. Inside it is it's always a mistake, always an accident, always a coincidence. Each time you get rejuvenated. So later you will understand better mind to be wandering off. Better it should be eccentric. Daydreaming, fantasizing, then you sympathize yourself. Then I can understand the other person with the emotional intelligence, with the emotional literacy. When he or he is unmindful, definitely they will self-critical and worrying. But it's a laughing stock for me. Her mistake is my mistake. His mistake is my mistake. So I have to share it by sermon or practice or kind of thing. But give me acceptance of that. The emotional literacy, emotional intelligence. This is what, according to the American jargon, the mindfulness not only become therapy, it become preventive. That's the point, it become preventative. But I use it. That is the difference between samatha and vipassana. The way you explain your situation, the way you explain your question, the way you explain your difficulty, itself is expressing your mind. Many people do meditate and they regret. Very sorry. It's a good quality madness, not the normal madness. The super quality madness. Meditate and regret. So meditation is itself is madness, so no harm. But knowing that I am happy to be a man, what the hell? No harm. So that capacity is having, therefore, if you are samatha, always you complain about lack of progress, stagnating, and all the kind of. But whenever it is coming from vipassana point of view, it's a point to be laugh, point to be share with others. That is true. But you know, you have to find a reason to be glad under any circumstance. That's called glad game. So once you learn the glad game, no one can suppress you, no one can, disturb you. So you are ready to happen that kind of. So sometimes I say, if that is the case, enlightenment is not necessary. This is enough. Am I correct? That itself says the path is clear. You have to throw the path, that is separate issue. Now you know the formula. So we are moving to otherwise.
In regard to other Buddhism schools like Zen and Tibetan, what are some positive attributes? And what are some positive attributes? What about shortcomings?
No, I'm not competent enough to have that kind of analysis. Each and everyone have their own advantages and the disadvantages. Because it is all come from the Buddha. Different cultures, different upbringings. So it happens. So therefore, whatever it may be, whatever you have the utility value, you can make use it, but don't describe or prescribe or ask someone to follow. You can use it for yourself. Do you have, no, you must not tell. The Buddha says, Igameva Satyam Mogamanya. If someone is telling this is the truth and others are falsified, that is the person first you must avoid. That's a cancerous. Don't have that kind of thing. The Buddha never asked to look down the other spiritual masters, contemporary masters, never. Yeah. They have their own disciples, their tradition. Okay, no harm. Not with that narrow mind, with the blinkers kind of thing. So therefore, Devada is kind of afraid. And we claim we are belong to Theravada. But when you are studying the history, there are reasons why the Buddhism went into different sects. And the very first sutta appearing in the Jika Nikaya, Brahmajala Sutta, Buddha explains 62 different views, heretic views. He says each and every view happened with its own content, not without a content. There's a reason. So therefore, the knowing everything, Buddha was not putting into gradation. This is my varietal entertainment. So when you go to the junction, there are a lot of hotels, Chinese hotel, Japanese hotel, and Indian hotel, and good. Who the hell can say this hotel is better than the other? You have to go and eat. Then one day you will see, but don't tell others. With their palate and their taste is different. And our Nissanmani Karvasabha committee, but they don't try to analyze other traditions. You are asking for trouble. We are just balancing this one. What are the qualifications that are competent for me to analyze others? So, better to avoid.
How and when do you recommend to practice metta meditation?
So, metta is the beginning point. When you are sitting comfortably and you check yourself, am I in a symmetrical balance and relaxed way? That is metta. Otherwise, body will not give you a cooperation. So, therefore, first you must understand to love your body. Human beings are thoroughly hating their body. That's why they are going for beautification. That's why they are going for bodybuilding. But this is not enough. You must be little longer, little shorter, little whiter, little beautiful. So that hatred everywhere. So metta is the right from the beginning into mindfulness. You have to, whatever the posture, you must be like a baby on mother's lap. Very relaxed. That is right from at-home meditation, at-home metta, rather than other kind of, because this is preparing your mind for auspicious thing, using your body, the maximum, the best use of it, sit comfortably. If you find it difficult to comprehend, just look at the cat. How nicely, wherever it disposes, it's very happy. Or look at the fish tank. It's very nice. They are not fighting each other. So when you are in metta, you are happy with your human body, it's a blessing.
When my mind is calm and is able to exist without hindrances, I have no object. I have an open monitoring technique. What are your thoughts on open monitoring? And do you teach this meditation style?
So that if you are calling this is my mind, you are in trouble. My mind is calm mind, my mind is that, and that time this. I mean, this is Dhamma. They are happening. You are a mere observer, distance observer. But if you are going to claim this is my mind, it will cheat you. This is so quickly changing. Look at it in the passive language. Don't try to say it is me, it is mine, and it's myself. It's very difficult. You can't write something because all the time you start with I. What should I do? I am blah, 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 blah. So that means it is a conventionally communicating happens, but it's still the erroneous view. So therefore, whatever the thing is happened, don't claim it as my mind, or don't claim it's bad mind or good mind. Just mind. So therefore, good. It is, would say half truth.
What is the difference between piti and pasati? In the 7 factors of alignment, which one we should focus in? Which one we should focus in what time? Meaning what mental situation?
So P is leading to give rise to the passaddhi, and now we are going to take next. This is like in the younger age, you are very hilarious, your body is full of chemicals, and you have go short. But when you are passing 40, 50, 60, kind of a maturity happens, whether you are meditator or not. So the PT is somewhat robust, young. And the passaddhi is kind of a maturity. And in the mindfulness, you can see the sequential way it is happening. Sometimes in one sitting, you can understand it. Otherwise, you have to become old, then only you will understand it. So therefore, Piti Passaddhi is as if in the human life, from the young, robust age to the maturity life.
Earlier, you said mindfulness needs to balance faith and wisdom. Can you repeat what you said about too much or too little faith? Wisdom, concentration, relaxation. Thank you.
So in Visuddhimagga it says, Adhika Saddho Manda Panyo. Adhika Panyo Manda Saddho. Is if you are full of faith, you are an idiot. If you are very wise and analytical, you don't have faith. And we can't say this person is a quick wit and this person is a devotional, because they are quickly changing. That's why the mindfulness is having a role to understand. Sometimes you are highly believing things, don't analyze. Sometimes you are analyzing, and you will never arrive at a conclusion, and it's a wastage of time. So therefore, these two happening in a phenomena, and in the mindfulness, you get the short cycles, you get short wave cycles to see sometimes how they are fluctuating. So knowing itself, knowing the phenomena itself is way towards the balance. You must understand it on the spot, right hand. Then your mindfulness is very insightful.
What is the best way to learn jhana meditation? When you have enough time or when you have too much time?
And the jhana is 2 types, vipassana jhana and samatha jhana. It may be something strange, but if you are reading Upanishad Sayagos in this very life, there's a chapter called Vipassana Jhana. And he says after 20, 30 years, no one criticized it. So therefore, jhana is a pet word people are talking about. If you are going by jhana factors, or vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata, you can look at them from their functions. And Upanishad has given that kind of explanation. So whatever it may be, it takes time. The jhana is established through mastery, or vasita. That means not just going and coming back jhana, it is always available in our mind. But you have to go there and stay with that and mastery. Whenever possible you are entering, whenever possible you are coming out, whenever possible you decide so much of time, and after coming back from the jhana, you can look at what's the difference between jhanic mind and the non-jhanic mind. And likewise, it has to be galvanized. It has to be reinforced. It has to be mastered. So more than earning a jhana, the mastery is so long time you have to have. For example, we may be earning some money, but we do not know how to preserve it. And that is what happened in the world today. Everyone is running with the financing. They are taking loans for the future. Even the government. Last time I went to Washington DC for the first time in my life. And when the vehicle is stopping, it was a private bus hold, and it says, American government has to pay so much of interest per year. So much of trillions. Because everything is run by loans. And then it is a bubble. But sustainable development, which can be sustained, not costing the future generation, not costing the warming up of the earth and the pollution, enough. So likewise, earning jhana is just difficult, but mastering it, taking under control is the difficult part. There you need way of living. You have to think about your livelihood. You may earn even in the lay life and the secular life, but if you wish to have that mastery, you have to have that kind of a big level, macro level, and there only it can happen. So still, I made that statement that the Vipassana jhana is samatha jhana. So therefore, interpretations are now little vivid in this subject.
I get confused about the Buddhist concept of aimlessness. If one does not have aims and goals in life, what is the motivating force to even lead life?
This subject has been discussed by Professor Padmasindha Silva in his book, Freudian and Buddhist Philosophy. He says people are running, people are achieving every time because of the motivation. But that motivation you started with defiled mind, not the purified mind, not the enlightened. If that motivation, of course, it may give results, will it at last give freedom, give emancipation? So he developed this motivational theory. So therefore, have an appointment with disappointment is a Lao Tzu saying, a contemporary time person of the Buddha, and he has mentioned. But the Buddha also mentioned it sometimes, as far as you have an aim, it is inferior. If you are doing something without any aim, very difficult to comprehend, but it is beyond the celestial beings, beyond the Brahma world. So that is the what very difficult to comprehend. So that is the prime task of the Buddha. Arthatta panya asuchi manusa eko chari kaggavisanga. So that's the last verse in the Kaggavisanga Sutta. If you have a meaning in your way, it is inferior. If you are doing it for the sake of doing it for the sake of doing, then there is something, no boundaries, no limits. So therefore, when you are running a family or running a shop or the company, definitely you must have. But when it comes to the transcendental world, you have to have, this is also a possible combination, not easy to comprehend in the linear mind, with the rational mind, but keep it in corner. And when you are practicing more and more, you go to the higher enlightenment factors, you will understand Atthatta Panya Asuchi Manusa. If there's an obvious goal, that is not pure. So if you know your goal, then you are fairly safe. You know it is achieved, and but that is not the final goal. And when you keep on practicing, just like you are peeling off a banana trunk, the outer the sheets are very hard or fairly hard. When you go in and in, it is so soft. There is no pit. Appear like a very straight trunk. So this is what ultimately when it is peeling off is happening. Whether you accept it or not, if you keep on practicing, this is what it happens. That is what you can comprehend. Human mind, if something can be comprehended, that is belongs to the materialistic world. But there is another world, and when you are practicing, whether you like it or not, that's the way direction it happens.
Last two evenings of meditation time, I experienced strange things. As soon as I focused on breath, I felt like mosquitoes come and bite me. If it was only one place, I knew how to control it and come back to my meditation. But if it is everywhere, only in the evening meditation time, it happened. What to do for that? How to control mind?
We can put a notice there, no entry for the mosquito. And display there. So that is the way, but unfortunately we don't know the mosquito language. Otherwise we can put it. So this is what morning meditation, midday meditation and evening meditation, there are some patterns. And whenever the nerves endings are become titillated, they give a lot of signals as if they are reality. And more you practice, you will see very difficult to comprehend the reality and the concept. When Nilambe, we had a very small meditation hall coming from 70s, and I used to go there, well, full of mosquitoes and flies. So 2 girls from Germany came there and practiced, and one girl complaining, Godwin telling, I can't practice because so much of mosquitoes. Then Godwin said, what to do with you? There is Nilam. So you better go to outside, outdoor and practice. No harm, no use of coming into the meditation hall because the mosquitoes also trap inside and they come and bite you. So she was going and meditating, expecting mosquitoes to happen. But that is the main concern. And then all of a sudden, meditation is not so strong. One came and landed on the hand. And she started to struggle with, and she knows immediately now that guy will be piercing into this thing. And she was observing, it is not sting, it is not piercing. She expected to happen. And after she opened her eyes and see, it was a butterfly. And she ultimately she wrote the article and she says the change happened. I am expecting a mosquito to happen, mosquito came, and I am expecting it to penetrate and sting. It is not happening. Open the eyes, can't prevent it. Butterfly. And she was so happy. And then she found her next friend running along the mountain with a butterfly catcher to catch a beautiful butterfly to take back to Germany. Immediately she developed hatred. And ultimately she wrote a small article. This is what happened. So therefore, when these things, when you are giving the interpretation, in the morning one thing, evening one thing, the Mahasi Sayadaw says, whenever the concentration going to start, whenever the mindfulness going to develop, first and foremost signals happening from the epidermis. And once you facilitate it and not to worry, then it goes to the dermis. And then go into the flesh. And then go into the blood circulation. And then go into the nervous system. Ultimately, it goes into the bones. This is how the attention and the thing is coming, ultimately focus into the central nervous system. Whenever you are agitated, skin is very vulnerable. But when the meditation is going deep and deep, even the mosquito happens, the skin don't have any blood. The attention is centralized. It takes little time. So therefore, these things are universal things we are experiencing through our own body. So keep on practice.
I have learned and practiced the jhanas. The material jhanas are readily available for me, but I have only attained the immaterial jhanas 3 or 4 times. The immaterial jhanas are literally mind-blowing. Is rapture the same as the immaterial jhanas?
It rapture.
Is rapture the same, is piti the same as immaterial jhanas?
Yeah, that if you have to see the Upakilesa Sutta and kind of thing, the Buddha is telling you give up materialistic world by this meditation. You select one particular object, material object, breath, or rising and falling, or left leg and right leg. Whenever you are managed with the material or with the object, that means you have gotten rid of the worldly affairs. In order to get rid of the worldly affairs, you take the material jhana. And once it becomes material jhana, you get attached to it. It's also exactly like the attachment to the sexual and sensual. And then the tradition says, instead of material jhana, seek subtle matter or immaterial jhana. It is basically happening through the equanimity base, Pekka Ekagata. And when it is happening, you are utterly far away from the worldly affairs or sexual and sensuous world, and then far away from the material thing, and you have now in the subtle matter. And there you find still you claim this my jhana. I achieved it. And you are elated. You have it kind of a conceit. And then you have to contemplate the disadvantage of that immaterial or subtle matter also. And there you find it is very, how to call it, religious, it is philosophical, no harm, but exactly like sensuous and sexual pleasure. So then you have to decide, think about the disadvantage of that. So whenever the discussion go up to that level, it is so subtle. The Buddha is explaining that is how he gotten rid of the Alarapala, Muddakara, to the great masters. They were masters of the immaterial jhana, but they can't see the disadvantage. So much so, the Buddha to be knew the truth. And how that happened in the Siddhartha's brain before the enlightenment. So these are some kind of things, and Buddha tried his best to explain it, and therefore it is a sexual or village life or renounced life or the material jhana or immaterial jhana, throughout you have your own desire. It's like a magnetic power. It attracts normal iron. So you have to understand.
When strong joy arises during meditation, should one shift attention to joy for jhana meditation, or should attention remain on the primary object?
Yeah, that is, Bhante also tried to explain that in the interviews. And some people say once you absorb, you are like in a sleepy position or absorbed position. No, you have the rational mind. So when the PT happens in the early part of jhana, PT is like very strong, very powerful. But when it is continuing with 35, 40, 50 minutes, slowly PT become dwindling off. And thereby you don't know whether you are in a jhana or whether it is diluted off. If you ever to reinstall, you have to take refuge of your practice. But the first jhana, it is possible. But by the second jhana, the primary object is also so subtle. So likewise, you have to understand whether it is a concept or reality. So therefore, very difficult to say hard and fast answer. You have to be pragmatic according to the intensity of the pleasure and how much you can make use of the primary object as a pivotal value. Then and there you have to assume.
Dear Bhante, when is a mind not prepared for insight, and when is a mind prepared for insight?
But that's a completely open issue, very difficult to say. We can't say the younger people are much more insightful than the older people, or elderly people are much insightful than the younger people. There's no such thing. It's circumstantial, it's impromptu. So therefore, beginners, be prepared, be opportunist. Whenever a situation happens, facilitate. If it is not so, you are eating raw mangoes. Very sour. Let the mango to be ripen, then it is juicy. So meditators often tend to eat raw mango. They are so desired, we can't wait till the mango to be ripened. So they either force ripening or eating that thing, and they say mangoes are no good, they are very sour. So most of the books written by half-ripened people. Real meditative people mind their business. Buddha never wrote any book. Of course, I am a fool. I have written more than 50 books. I'm sorry. So therefore, very difficult. So you have to sort of impromptu understanding and be on the board understanding. And it's a birthright. We all equally have it. So have it open. And it is too late. We are going to stop the session. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So have